there's a notification. What has started? I use MacBook. I don't know. The CBS meeting room is what I've got that.
Yeah, it's usually on the floor below this, around the same area. No, right. It's like directly below this room.
So he's not.
In the lecture.
But the lecture.
Oh, he's in Karachi. He's not downstairs.
This is what we got now. Well, I think Asa can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So it's just it's more the PowerPoint. Getting the PowerPoint back. We're just trying to get your PowerPoint back on. We lost the screen sharing.
I see. I stopped and restarted just in case. This usually works.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can you just call that?
Yeah, sure.
I think I'd probably rather sit there.
Do you want to sit in?
Well, the good news outside is that you've got a full house this morning.
You have the slides with you, so we have a backup possibility.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, do you want to try that?
What, using his backup slides?
Using the backup slides.
Okay. I'll have to download it.
Then we don't have to worry about the screen sharing, solving the screen sharing.
Sure. I'll start with your part one, right?
Yeah, spirituality. There are two versions. One is in color, which is a 16 megabyte file, and the other is just plain.
Okay.
Yeah, just the slideshow. It's not quite smooth. Right.
Share the screen with us again. So
Yeah, that might work well. We're trying to think of a way of getting the slides available and the Blue Jeans meeting at the same time without.
It was working fine, except there was a notification.
Yeah,
so
we can turn it off and start again, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm concerned that if it failed once.
Exit this meeting and start all over again, or just.
I think that's a good idea, Asad. Shall we do that? Shall we exit and start again?
Okay,
Because
got it.
it's going fine until we had some pop up.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit, then I will invite you again at your email. Is that okay?
Yes.
Well, if you just try sharing the screen first.
All right. Okay, what I'll do is stop sharing and start sharing again and see if that works. Although I did that once already.
So I'll leave the meeting.
Yeah. No, leave Michael. Just don't change anything.
Okay, I'm going to share screen again. Start sharing. It says you're sharing your entire screen
Okay.
on my side.
That's the same here. It does look like that works. Do you want to start the presentation?
Oh, okay.
Please.
Can you see the presentation now?
No, not yet. Oh, yes.
Okay, so are we all set now?
Ah, brilliant.
We're back.
We're back. We're back in business.
I don't know quite.
Okay, great.
Maybe
All right, so we start again.
Sorry.
Okay, are we ready? Can I start again?
yes.
Michael? All right.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so we were discussing what is spirituality, and let me say what is the standard modern answer. That well, it's a literary term. It's sort of a emotional. Yeah, exactly as you said. Some individual, anybody can take it to be whatever they want. It's a personal thing, and more rigorously, it's like phlogiston or unicorns or ghosts or souls or God. These are the things which the ancients used to believe in, but which have been proven not to exist. Like, the ancients thought that the earth was flat, so they made many mistakes. They had a knowledge which now we have learned better. So basically, in divinity school, they study religion and spirituality as a disease which afflicts weak minds not properly trained in scientific reasoning. What do you think?
Not necessarily how I see it, but
So why don't we understand spirituality? Well, basically, we have been, the 20th century, logical positivism was a dominant philosophy. It rose from nowhere and became extremely influential. Even though this philosophy has been proven wrong, it continues to hold sway. Surveys show that the basic principles of positivism are widely believed, even though people know that positivism is not a valid philosophy. And so some of the key ideas of this philosophy is that unobservables do not matter for science. Anything which is unobservable, we don't need to take a stand on it. Spirituality, God, ghost, soul, we can't observe it, so we don't need to make a ontological commitment about it. It may exist, it may not exist, it doesn't matter. All that matters for science is that what is observable. So even in real physical science, we have unobservable terms like atoms and gravity, but we use that just for convenience to organize our thoughts. When we talk about atoms, we do not really commit ourselves to the existence of atoms. It's just a manner of speaking, which helps to organize a collection of observations. This was the positivist belief. Actually, it was proven wrong, but nonetheless, people continue to believe this. So one of the key, there was a whole history of philosophical evolution which led to this rather disastrous mistake. One of them was Kant. Kant said that, if something is unobservable, we can't see it, then it is not knowable. I mean, we can't observe it, so we can't say anything about it, so we shouldn't say anything about anything which is unobservable, because that it just doesn't make sense. If you can't see it, if you can't sense it, then you can't know anything about it, so you shouldn't say anything about it, and it's not relevant for science. In addition to that, the idea became widely believed that science is the only valid source of knowledge. So now spirituality is obviously something which is unobservable. It's certainly not part of any science that we know. And if science is the only valid source of knowledge, then we can't have any knowledge about spirituality. So obviously, spirituality becomes a meaningless concept according to positivist ideas. So basically, actually, logical positivism defines knowledge. What is knowledge? What can I know? What can you know? And it defines knowledge incorrectly, extremely incorrectly. But we have all bought into this paradigm to some extent or the other. So in order to clean our minds to understand what spirituality is, we have to make a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift cannot be achieved by rational process. I can't argue, I can't convince. It is a change of perspective, like that famous picture of the old lady and the young lady. If you look at it in a certain way, you will see the old lady. If you look at it in another way, you will see the young lady. So, in making a paradigm shift, the problem is that you have a large collection of beliefs which are all tied to a single paradigm. You have to let go of all of them simultaneously to be able to enter into the world which is created by the different paradigm. So it's like in the movies where you stop. You suspend your beliefs in your normal world and enter into a fantasy. Okay, so the standard definition of knowledge is that it is true, justified belief. So, what about intuition? If I have an idea that something may be true, well, it's neither justified nor can I have any idea about its truth or falsity. So, it is not scientific. It is not knowledge according to our current conception of knowledge, and therefore it's not very important. It can't be. It's not. So, to be more clear, the central positivist idea was that sentences must be true or false in order to be meaningful. If you have a sentence to which you cannot assign a truth value using empirical methods, then they are meaningless sentences. This idea is no longer believed. It was proven invalid for various complicated reasons. But still, if you basically in social sciences, people try very hard to make sure that their sentences have observational counterparts. Unobservables you shy away from. I think we have covered this already. So a consequence of this was philosopher Ayer, who said that ethical judgments have no validity because they are just purely an expression of feeling. You cannot evaluate their truth or falsity using empirical methods. And so they are unverifiable for the same reason that cry of pain is unverifiable. It's just an expression which doesn't have a meaning, which doesn't have a truth value. But now if we shift paradigms, cry of pain may be meaningless to Ayer, but for ordinary human beings, this is the most meaningful thing in the world. It immediately attracts our attention. We would like to, and if we hear it, our hearts are attracted, and we would like to go and help normally. So we have been trained to believe in the positivist, by positivist ideas, that there is an objective reality that's out there. That's important. That's what matters. And there is the subjective reality which is inside me. That's not too important. Everybody has a different subjective reality, and that's something you try to keep out of the realm of scientific discourse. Of course, it matters for me as a person, but it's not of importance. So the idea that, just tell me the facts, don't tell me your opinions. This is a commonly used phrase, which shows that the facts, the objective reality is important, but the subjective reality is not. So what I want to say to you now, this is the paradigm shift, that actually intuitive guesses which can never be verified are the most important things in our normal lives. This is the bedrock on which our human lives are built. These are guesses which have no truth value. See, I live in a world in which civilization started along the rivers of Nile and Euphrates. There was global conquest and colonization by Europe. 2 world wars took place. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed. The global financial crisis occurred, and zillions of other things. What I want to say is that I did not experience any of these events. They are just reported to me in books, and so I reconstructed them in my imagination. So the world I live in is actually a recreation of a picture of the world in my mind, and this picture is highly subjective. As some philosophers have started to note, the objective and the subjective are, in a nice phrase, inextricably entangled. You can't separate the two. So if you think about how do we taste food, well, there are objective chemicals in the food, but there are also taste buds in the tongue. There's interpretive apparatus in the brain which takes this stimulus and turns it into a flavor which I might like or I might dislike. Social norms have also a lot to do with what I think. So how the food tastes. I mean, I may dislike something, but if everybody approves of this bitter taste, then I might decide to start liking it. So objective factors and subjective factors. How do we see the world? Well, there is a reflection of the world by the pinhole camera in our eyes onto the retina. This actually picture is inverted. And then there is interpretation which takes place. And if you have known there's an experiment that if you put on glasses which make the world upside down, then in a little while your mind learns to process this signal and you again start seeing the world right side up. So the interpretive status is very important, the interpretive apparatus within our brains. So our experience of reality mixes the objective and the subjective in such a way that the two cannot be cleanly separated. This is one of the crucial assumptions of positivism, that we can separate the objective reality out there from the subjective reality in there. Now, even in quantum physics, it is now known that observation of a system actually changes the system. So the observed system is not like the unobserved system. So you have to take into account the observer together with the observed. You can't separate the two. So the fabric of our personal lives is woven with intuitive and unverifiable knowledge. See, now I'm talking to you. I'm thinking about what you are thinking about what I am saying. I'm trying to guess what you are experiencing. When we got up in the morning, we took a shower, we cleaned ourselves, we dressed, because we think we care about what other people think about us. Now, the interesting thing is that I can never know for sure what your heart contains, in the sense that you may tell me that you like me or you don't, but what is really in your heart, I will never know. And yet, this is of supreme importance to me in the conduct of my life. How people feel about me. This is one of the key things that makes us happy or sad. So I have never met any of the students in this class, but I know that you enjoy laughing. I know about the kind of things that can make you happy. I can, with great confidence, say that such and such thing will make you sad, and such thing will make you angry, and you will be excited if you have experienced such an event. And under suitable circumstances, we all use this kind of information to build personal relationships with each other. So the bonds of humanity that we share are very powerful, very strong. Just because you are a human being means that you and I share a huge amount of common thoughts and feelings, and yet this is not part of scientific knowledge by exactly for the reason that what I know, what I think about your field is just my guess. It is an intuition, it is a hunch. I can never ever create a proof that this is a proof that you are thinking about me, feel this way about me. So that's why, people say she loves me not, and so on, because they can never tell. So human knowledge is built on a number of paradoxes. In one level, as I've said, we all share a huge amount of common experiences, understandings. We live, we laugh, we cry, we love, we hate, and in certain fundamental ways, we are all the same. And at the same time, human being is completely unique. No one has ever experienced my life experiences ever before in history and ever after in history. So it's like the snowflakes. They're all unique, but they're all very similar. So in our life, we must understand the simultaneous truth of our common humanity, which makes us all the same, and also our unique individuality, which makes us all different. So this is what Zen koans teach us, how to understand, how to try to understand paradox. So human knowledge is very different from scientific knowledge, which is confined to binaries, to things which are true and false. We are all able easily as human beings to understand paradoxes, to understand how something can be true and its opposite can also be true at the same time, as I've just explained to you. So once we understand that we are outside the realm of scientific knowledge, what I'm saying is that this is the most important knowledge that we have. So actually science, or this idea that we learn from experience, we look at patterns, we look for the patterns which repeat. This is a very harmful idea potentially, because you see, this is a moment in time. You are sitting in Cambridge. I am sitting in Karachi. We are trying to communicate by electronic media. This is something which has never happened before in this whole universe, which has been running for 7 billion years. And actually, it will never happen again, in the sense that this particular interaction will never take place. Maybe there are some potential pathways which go out of this moment, which are completely unique, which are possibilities which are coming into being right now, which won't be there tomorrow and which were not there yesterday. And if we could see these possibilities, we could reach out and grasp them. But if we use science, use our experience, if we use logic, if we use reasoning, we will be blind to these possibilities, because it's a by definition, it's not science. It's a one of a kind event. Science deals with repeated events, with universal laws, with things which happen over and over again. So, how many possibilities, if you think about your own life, you can easily identify possibilities which came up, vanished, unseen, unrealized, unappreciated. Maybe because we were too afraid to go into these possibilities. So, science is based on replicable patterns and fitting nature into these patterns. It systematically ignores unique, rare, and exceptional events. So, being human, we have a lot of knowledge which is simply not scientific in the sense that it doesn't follow any laws that because I'm unique, nobody like me has ever existed. So, how can I tell if there is some law of behavior that I follow or don't follow? We have lots of characteristics which are uh, which we believe we share with others, but we can never be sure. Maybe when I say love, I've heard other people use this word, and I have guessed at what they must mean by it. But maybe what I mean by it and what I feel when I use this word is completely different from what anybody else has said. So there is a large amount of communication which takes place, but also, as we said, we are all human beings. We all share a lot of common factors, and that allows us to communicate. But at the same time, we are all unique, and that means that we can never be sure how well we are communicating. So I'm going to consider a thought experiment. So I don't know anything about you. So the thought experiment is, would you kill a baby for $1 million if no one found out and there was no punishment and there was no social opprobrium, nobody would know? Well, I would bet a huge amount that you wouldn't do that, even if it was. Why? Uh, According to economic theory, you should. It says you should maximize your utility. Nobody knows. If nobody knows and you get $1 million, then and there are no consequences. And in fact, it's not that it's never been done. Lots of people have killed lots of innocents for small amounts of money. So if you talk real politics, if you talk human experience, if you listen to Madeleine Albright, who said on public TV that killing 500,000 babies in Iraq was okay, justified by the politics. So it doesn't. And if for me to say that you wouldn't do that is not rational. I mean, maybe I can say about myself that I wouldn't do it, but how should I know? I've never met you before. Still, I will say that I would be willing to stake my life on it, that you wouldn't do it. Why? I mean, we can consider a thought experiment that, okay, your life is on the line. If she kills the baby for $1 million, then you will die. Or if you and you have to guess what you will do in order to save your life. So if I guess that you will kill the baby, then I will be safe if you do that. And if I guess that you wouldn't, then I would be safe. Now, I would still stake my life in, even though I don't know, even though it's not true. I'm talking about the justified true belief definition of knowledge now. I cannot justify this belief. I do not know whether it's true or false. And it's not really that I have an infinite amount of trust in every human being. Rather, for me, it is part of what it means to be human, to believe that other people are also humans. They have feelings, they have compassion, they have ethics, they have judgment. Of course, there are diseased people around, but I think that the normal human being would not do that, and I would be very confident about it. So, what I'm trying to demonstrate is that, and this knowledge is very important to me. Believing this is very important to me. Believing this is part of what makes me human. So, yet, this doesn't fall into the category of scientific knowledge. So, all the time in our lives, from when we get up to when we get to sleep, we are making guesses about how others are reacting to us, about our own internal psychological states. We aren't even sure about our own internal feelings. And this uncertain knowledge is what makes us human. This is different from what the robots and the computers can do. And this is what makes it different from Siri. Towards the end of his life, A.J. Iyer realized that positivism was all wrong. He said this in an interview. And he says that that this is like faking anesthesia. Because basically, since I cannot observe your feelings, so I have to deny the existence of your feelings or the relevance of your feelings to my life. But this is simply false. I mean, it's like thinking that I am faking anesthesia and faking being anesthetized. So whenever we act, whenever we make a decision, I'm going to do this. This decision depends on our vision about the future. We conceive of imaginary futures, and then we think that if I take this action, I might be able to get to such and such a future. These dreams, these visions guide our lives, and these are not based on any kind of logic. Marx had a vision about a classless society where laborers would not be exploited by capitalists, and his vision shaped the 20th century. He did not have any material means to bring this about. He did not have guns and armies, and it was just his vision which shaped the creation of Russia and China, and basically all of the 20th century was deeply affected by his vision. Similarly, in our personal lives, our dreams, which have no material substance and no objective reality, they are very powerful in shaping the world. The world is, in fact, shaped by dreamers with powerful dreams. So these things are not material, these things are not objective, these are not scientific, and they are not knowledge in the sense of being justified through beliefs. But nonetheless, these are extremely important. So now we can come to the answer to the question that I originally asked. What is spirituality? Well, one definition which is common is that it is the capacity in my heart to feel for others. Once if I can sense how you feel, then it is possible for us to sense our collective humanity. It allows us to see that we are all joined at the root, and it allows us to rise above individuality and selfishness. Like other human capabilities, like my muscles and my brains, it requires nurturing. Spirituality can grow if you exercise it. And these exercises are known. And if you grow sufficiently, then spirituality can sense the presence of God. In fact, Islam belief requires having a direct sense of the presence of God. It is not a ritual and it's not a belief. I mean, if you can feel, and that's, I think, the case for most religions, that it requires, but there's no, but this is not the type of knowledge that is acceptable in the positivist traditions. So things like love, courage, strength, spiritual qualities, they are unmeasurable, they are unquantifiable, they are unobservable. All of these things uh, supposedly exclude them from the realm of science. Uh, so in Islam, it is said that the believer loves and is loved. Lao Tzu said that being deeply loved gives you strength, loving gives you courage. So how can we have strength and how can we have courage? And how can we love and how can we be loved? These are all things which scientific knowledge cannot answer, but spiritual knowledge can. And there are many stages of spiritual growth, from the primitive egotism to the beginning of awareness that there are other people in the world around us, to the feeling of empathy, that if somebody feels sorrow, we also feel sad for him or her, compassion, feeling of unity with the creation of God, that I'm just one part of the entire creation. And a very high stage is when you feel unity with God himself or herself. Aldous Huxley, in the perennial philosophy, he provides an introduction to spirituality which is designed for modern, rational, skeptical, secular type minds. So he deals with uh, evidence of an empirical variety. So for those people who find it more difficult, this is a good place to start. Okay, so that's the end of part one of my talk. I hope that I have provided an answer to this question of what is spirituality, and I hope that I have differentiated it adequately from phlogiston and ghosts and flat earth theories. And we can move on to the question of what is development, which is the second part of the talk. But to end with, this is not relevant to the particular talk, but it is something very important. So I would like to just make some peripheral remarks, side remarks, not related to my central talk. The positivist understanding of science is wrong. That's well known, but not why. And it's widely believed that science leads to knowledge, which is true, justified belief. But actually, science is also based on intuition and unverifiable answers. Science is just like our belief. Yani, my belief about what you think about me, what you feel about me, is no different from how scientists operate in learning about the world. Think about Newton's apple. The apple falls, and Newton guesses that it should be due to this force of gravity, which is unseen, unobservable, and completely unverifiable. That's what Popper realized, that scientific theories can never be proven. So science is exactly like this, but it was just a mistake on the part of the logical positivists to think that science leads to truth, that scientific beliefs can justify. Uh, Even in mathematics, we attempt to prove the positivist position that everything which is true is provable, so that we can logically prove everything that is true. This led to very unexpected and surprising results. This is a German logician, Kurt Gödel, and he proved that in mathematics, the set of truths is very large and the set of provable statements is very small. What that means is that there are lots of truths which can never be proven. So then he was asked that, well, how do we find out if something like the axiom of choice is true or false? Because it can never be proven. So he said, well, we just have an intuition about this. So even mathematics works by intuitions. Science works by intuition. Okay, so that's just a side note. I'm going to stop sharing the slide and we're going to take a little break. and I'm going to stop the recording also. And we can, I can take some question and answer before we go on to the next part of the talk.